Before you start welding, you always want to check your work one more time to make sure everything is square. Go in and check every corner that you have, make sure it's all squared up, it's level the way you like it before you begin. Now, when you are welding, number one recommendation is be comfortable. Make sure that you put this in a position where you can A, get to your weld, but B, you're comfortable while you're moving through your weld. This is still a relatively small piece, so we can put this in any orientation that we want to achieve the weld that we want. So put it in a position that you like, get comfortable, and then also you want to spread out the heat as much as possible. Okay, so when you're going into one corner over the other, what you want to do is you want to counter the effects of the heat. So immediately, if you do this fillet weld, you want to come over and do this butt joint right here, right away. So it counters the effect. Do these two welds, 1, 2, and then go over to this one, 1, 2, and then that one, 1, 2. We're spreading the heat out throughout the piece. That way it prevents distortion and the piece moving around on you. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna start with a fillet weld. Okay, I'm gonna start with an inside fillet weld here and then come to the outside and do my butt joint. Now, if you haven't welded on this material, this thickness of material, okay, this 14 gauge, what you want to do is just grab some scrap from anywhere in the shop that you have it falling off when you were cutting these guys off, just the drop pieces, and weld them together a little bit. You're going to find out that you're going to have to vary up your travel speed a little bit. This particular one, you're going to want to push over pull. Okay, you're gonna wanna move a little bit faster with your travel speed or you're gonna burn through quite a bit. So practice first, that is very important. Now, what we're gonna do is before we get going, we're just gonna clean our tacks off, get rid of all that, any contaminants that may be in our welds. We're gonna hit this side too, of course. And then we're gonna go through our checklist. We're gonna make sure that the machine is still set properly for what we are trying to accomplish. Now, on these corner joints here, these fillet welds, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a pull, but I'm also gonna do the roll. I'm gonna roll through it nice and even, bringing it along with me as I go through. So I'm gonna position where I like to be. So, checklist. Shielding gas pressure is set, good. We are gonna fire this up. We're set properly. Our work clamp is down and we're ready to go. So I'm just gonna move through. Make sure you can go all the way through your weld before you start. Make sure your vision is good. And then we're gonna get going. Cover. There's one. There's two. Now after this, I'm gonna do the exact same thing for all these other legs. Just 2 welds, and then I'm gonna clean them off and come back to the other 2 sides. So when you're welding this whole thing together, the direction of your weld is actually important. You want to prevent distortion going into the piece. So you don't want this leg moving all over the place on you while you're welding. So the first two welds that we just did, if you notice, I went the same direction. On this side, I went that way. On this side, I also went this way. Now, for our next two, we're going to counter the directions. So what this is going to do is it's going to allow for less distortion going into the legs, trying to keep this leg as square as possible. So if you are not comfortable welding butt joints in this fashion, this kind of weird position here, what you can do, turn it upright, put it on the floor, put the clamp on one of the legs, and then you have more of a flat position to work with instead of more of a horizontal or out of position weld for you. You determine that. Remember, it's your comfort zone. But now we want to move on. We want to weld the rest of this together. So this was the leg I started with. So I'm going to then do 1 and then 2, but I'm going to go opposite direction this time. I'm going to go in for my pull toward for my fillet weld and then push for my outer butt joint here. Okay, so we'll just fire that up. Cover. Oh, you got it? Cover.